Hi there, this is Java Jim with First Line Equipment. And now we're going to go over outlets in our series for the ultimate guide of espresso machines. Watch our previous videos for other electrical information. And in this portion, you need to evaluate the outlet that you have available. Most older homes have outlets, okay, 110 volt. Even older commercial facilities have 110 volt, and you have two straight plugs and a ground. Okay, newer facilities will have a T on the one side, and typically you need to check for the voltage with the multimeter or a voltmeter to make sure that you have 110 or 220. This T, if it's on the other side and it's missing this side, then it's usually a 220 volt outlet. And I have seen facilities, restaurants, coffee shops, where they put the 220 volt outlet and there's 110 volt going in, or they put the 110 volt version, or typically 125 volt version, and there's actually 220 volts going in. So it's important that you or your installer or professional always double check the voltage in the outlet and make sure it matches to that of the espresso machine. Because if you have 220 volts running into a 110 volt machine, you literally can do a lot of damage to the brain unit, the heating element, power switch, a lot of damage. So it's really, really important to check. And we did that segment in the previous video. Now, this is a standard outlet. There's now outlets on newer homes, newer commercial environments, especially bathrooms and kitchens, where you have a GFI outlet. And what does this do, this GFI outlet? Basically, if there's a short to ground, okay, there's a green wire to ground, if it senses like a spike of electricity or a high power requirement, it will shut down the outlet. So if there's a leak in an espresso machine or a short, like a damaged heating element, it typically will trigger the GFI outlet. And that's why we ask customers over the phone if they have a GFI to test the machine, because that sometimes can tell us if there's some internal electrical damage or a fault inside the machine, especially the heating element. Or wires, terminals got wet. Sometimes a wire gets burned because it's rubbing up against a hot pipe in the machine and it shorts to ground. There's a multitude of things that can happen, but the GFI is a great type of outlet. However, it's not a great type of outlet as this thing ages. The reason is, as these age, they don't just like stop working and stop protecting. They become more sensitive to the power requirements of an espresso machine, okay? And so as this ages, say this is 4 years old and you've been operating your espresso machine, and this has just happened recently. You're operating your espresso machine, you decide to get a new one because you wanted to get a better looking one, and you get the same exact model machine, okay? As the machine ages, usually the power absorption is lower and lower as the machine ages, and the heating element only has a certain life cycle, so it draws less power. And then you go plug in a brand new machine and immediately it trips the GFI. There's no damage to the new machine. It's just that the new power requirement by the new machine, same make and model, same wattage requirement or specification, and it trips this. And a lot of times these have to be replaced. And we replace these quite often because we're testing and running a lot of machines in our showroom, in our repair facility, and these things fail even faster because we're using it for so many machines. So it's good to have one of these for the espresso machine. Just make sure that it's rated either 15 amp or 20. The 15 amp again is the T. And if you look, it's on this side. Remember I showed you on this side? Well, just make sure where the ground is, and that's the relationship. Okay, so when the ground is on the bottom, the T should be on this side on the leg. Okay, if the ground's up, then it goes the other way. So you can even get faked out. And I have, okay, in my home where in the same room, okay, because I actually have them, say, in the living room and in the kitchen, where some outlets are ground on this side, on the lower, and ground on the upper. And if you didn't know, the ones that are a certain way, could be upper or lower, are typically regulated by a power switch, and the opposite side is not regulated by a power switch. So that's how you kind of know the difference. If you see in your kitchen or room or even bathroom where some are upper and some are lower on the ground. Just keep that in mind, okay, when you're looking at the outlet. Now we're going to go over, here's a 220 volt Twistlock. This is a plug or female plug, but I don't have the actual outlet portion here because we don't really need them. We don't change them that often, but you'll see 3 legs here. Ground, hot, and a hot is typically the way it's set up. You'll get 110 to 120 and 110 to 120, 2 lines to make your 220. Here's a recreational vehicle receptacle, okay, and this is 30 amp, 125 volt, because we do sell espresso machines that customers put in their recreational vehicles. Sometimes they have this on the outside, sometimes it's on the inside. They don't have a standard plug. I'm not a super expert in recreational vehicles, but this is a different type of plug. And if you look, pretty similar. And there's also 4 and 5 terminals, where here there's only 3 terminals. So hopefully you learned something with this, but let's move on to our next segment.